The cameras flash. The crowd freezes. And just like that, Hollywood has a new obsession.
Oh, absolutely. We see it happen over and over again.
Right. You know the trajectory perfectly. You star in a massive generational comedy hit.
Yeah, you become the incredibly famous, funny kid.
Exactly. Then you decide to prove your dramatic chops. You rack up Oscar nominations, and suddenly you are absolutely everywhere.
Talk shows, late-night couches, red carpets, magazine covers, the whole machine.
You reach the very pinnacle of the entertainment mountain. The view is spectacular. The power is absolute. And then total silence.
Which is just wild when you think about it.
It really is.
Yep.
The spotlight is still shining brightly, but the stage is completely empty. He was one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Now he's gone. Why?
It is the ultimate modern disappearing act, and it goes against, well, every single rule of the fame economy.
Welcome to Starscope Report.
Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And we are so thrilled you are joining us today.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore a central, honestly fascinating mystery.
Yeah, it really is a mystery.
In an industry town like Los Angeles, where attention isn't just flattering, it is literal bankable currency, why does an A-list star like Jonah Hill, at the absolute height of his career and creative power, completely walk away from the microphone?
Right. Why just drop it all?
We are going to deconstruct the timeline, the motivations, and the very recent revelations behind his sudden exit and his highly unexpected return.
And to figure out exactly what happened, we are pulling from a really compelling stack of sources today.
Oh, definitely. We've got the receipts.
We do. We are looking at recent, in-depth entertainment coverage from The Independent and Gulf News. We are pairing that with some incredibly revealing, hard real estate data from Realtor.com.
I love the real estate data. It always tells the truth.
It never lies.
Yeah.
And finally, we have the transcript from a candid live taping of the Smartless podcast from April 2026 in Los Angeles.
Right, where Jonah Hill finally stepped back into the light and explained his absence to his peers.
Exactly. And hey, if you are loving these Hollywood twists so far, make sure you are subscribed. We have got even crazier stories ahead in this deep dive.
So to truly understand this triumphant return, we have to start by analyzing the breaking point. Let's look at August 2022.
Okay, set the scene.
Jonah Hill had just finished directing and starring in a documentary called Stutz. Now, this wasn't another blockbuster studio comedy.
No, not at all.
This was a profoundly personal film about his own therapist, Dr. Phil Stutz. The entire stated goal of the project was to openly discuss mental health, to share the very real tools he had learned in therapy with a global audience.
Which is a beautiful mission.
It is. But right when the studio machinery geared up for the massive promotional tour, he hit the brakes entirely.
He really did. He released an open letter that genuinely sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry.
Total shockwaves.
In it, he revealed something that fundamentally recontextualized how the public had viewed his entire career up to that point. He stated that through the introspective journey of making this film, he realized he had spent nearly 20 years experiencing severe anxiety attacks.
20 years. I want you to really think about that timeline for a second. That covers almost his entire adult life and the entirety of his public career. Every red carpet you saw him walk, every viral, charming interview on a late-night show.
Every time he was making us laugh.
Exactly. He was actively battling severe anxiety behind the scenes, and crucially, he pointed out the mechanism behind it. These attacks were heavily exacerbated by media appearances and public-facing events.
Which is exactly what his job demands.
Right. So with this letter, he essentially declared a strike. He deleted his Instagram account, which in modern Hollywood is almost akin to deleting your own existence.
Literally.
And he flat out refused to promote Stutz or any upcoming films. He literally wrote, "I won't lose my job while working on my anxiety."
What is fascinating here is the incredibly bold boundary he set and how it threatened the core economics of Hollywood.
Oh, big time.
Because he didn't ask for a hall pass. He acknowledged his unique leverage, writing that he usually cringes at letters like this. He clearly understands he is one of the privileged few who could afford to take time off without starving.
Right. He knew his position.
Yeah, but by firmly stating that he shouldn't have to sacrifice his mental health for a movie's marketing budget, he actively challenged a deeply ingrained industry norm. For decades, the unwritten rule in show business has been that an actor's well-being is a distant secondary concern to the promotional machine's return on investment.
We always hear about the Hollywood pressure cooker, right? But let's actually talk about how that machine works. When a studio drops $50 million on a movie, the star isn't just an actor, they are the primary marketing asset.
They're the billboard.
Exactly. A press junket isn't just a few fun interviews. It is a grueling 14-hour day where you sit in a hotel room and journalists rotate in every 5 minutes.
And you answer the same 4 questions.
Over and over, you are expected to be endlessly charismatic, endlessly on. You're constantly offering up pieces of your personal life for public consumption just to secure that return on investment. It's performing a hyper-real version of yourself on loop.
Sounds exhausting.
So by releasing Stutz but refusing to play the game to sell it, I have to ask, was he actively trying to dismantle the rules of the industry, or was he just desperately trying to survive them?
I mean, I think it was primarily an act of survival that just happened to carry industry-shifting implications.
Right.
He mentioned in his letter that he hoped his transparency would make it more normal for people to talk about these issues. So there was certainly an altruistic motive there.
For sure.
But fundamentally, if your job requires you to repeatedly trigger your own panic attacks just to drive box office numbers,
Right.
at some point, the human nervous system simply says, no more. You cannot outmarket biology.
You really can't. And I bet you, the listener, have probably felt a micro version of this in your own career.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about those moments when the endless administrative tasks, the exhausting office politics, and the mandatory networking completely swallow the actual tangible work you were hired to do.
Yeah, the performance of the job.
Exactly. The exhaustion doesn't come from the job itself. It comes from performing the job. Jonah Hill just experienced that phenomenon on a global multi-million-dollar scale.
And that is not even the wildest part, because wait until you hear how much it actually cost him to physically leave.
Mhm.
Drawing a mental boundary is completely useless if your physical environment constantly violates it.
Oh, totally. You can't just turn off your phone in Los Angeles and expect to find peace.
No, you run into studio executives at the grocery store. Paparazzi are literally camped out at your favorite coffee shop. Billboards of your peers tower over the highway. The physical city itself is the trigger.
Right. Which explains the drastic and incredibly expensive physical escape he attempted next.
Which brings us to the SmartList live taping on April 25, 2026.
Oh, this was such a good interview.
It was. So then Los Angeles, Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, Will Arnett are on stage, and the crowd absolutely loses its mind because the surprise guest is Jonah Hill.
Such a huge moment.
During this incredibly candid conversation, he drops a massive piece of the puzzle regarding his geographical escape. He reveals that 3 years ago, around 2023, when he and his wife, Olivia Millar, had their first of 2 children, they packed up and moved to a very small town down in San Diego.
Which represents a profound identity shift when you consider his deep roots. I mean, on that podcast stage, he spoke with genuine, palpable affection for his Los Angeles upbringing.
Oh yeah, he's an LA kid through and through.
He grew up in the LA of the 90s. He talked about loving the skate culture, the punk rock scene, the graffiti art. He used to sneak into local comedy clubs just to watch Chris Rock perform raw sets.
That sounds incredible, honestly.
Right. He had this amazing, almost romanticized access to the raw underground elements of show business before the internet sterilized everything. It was his entire cultural foundation.
But nostalgia doesn't make a great environment for raising kids, at least not for him. He made it clear he wanted to raise his family outside of the blinding Hollywood spotlight.
Okay, but I have to push back a little on this narrative of a spontaneous, clean, romantic break.
Oh, here we go. Bring in the data.
I am bringing it in. It sounds fantastic on a stage, right? We had a baby, so we chucked it all and moved to a small town. But if we dig into the actual real estate data from Realtor.com, it tells a much messier, much more complicated story about the mechanics of leaving your old life behind.
The real estate footprint always betrays the clean narrative. What did the data actually show?
Well, here is the timeline. In 2022, the exact same year he wrote that open letter about his debilitating anxiety and stepped back from the press, he bought a stunning 3,100 square foot Malibu house.
Okay, so doubling down on LA.
Exactly. 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, prime beachfront property, and he paid $15.4 million for it.
Wow. 15.4 million euros.
Yeah. Now, he supposedly moved to San Diego in 2023, but he held on to that massive Malibu property until 2024 when he finally listed it. And he didn't actually close the sale until 2025.
Interesting.
And here's the kicker. He sold it for $14.5 million. He took a nearly $1 million loss just to get rid of it.
Oh my gosh, $1 million.
That timeline doesn't suggest an overnight cold turkey break. It almost feels like a ransom payment. He had to pay $1 million exit tax just to formally break his ties with the industry.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it absolutely highlights the sunk cost fallacy of fame. Detaching from a lifelong home, especially a home woven into a multi-billion-dollar industry ecosystem, is incredibly messy and financially bleeding.
It's not easy.
No, you don't just sever those ties on a whim. The fact that he held that prime Malibu property for a couple of years while physically living down in San Diego suggests a very human transition period.
Like keeping one foot in the door.
Exactly. A testing of the waters, a hesitation to fully let go of the avatar he had built.
Right, because a house in Malibu isn't just shelter. In Hollywood, real estate is a node in the network. It's where the meetings happen, it's the status symbol, it's the identity.
Precisely. But ultimately, his willingness to take $1 million bath on a piece of prime real estate is the most telling psychological insight here. Freedom isn't free.
Literally.
Sometimes, buying back your peace of mind requires a literal severance package. It proves that his priority was no longer maintaining a Hollywood status symbol or a shrewd investment portfolio. It was a massive financial investment in his family's privacy and his own nervous system.
It's a staggering realization when you frame it that way, paying $1 million just to properly close a door and lock it behind you.
Yeah.
And on the Smartless taping, Jonah sounded genuinely euphoric about what was behind that door. He raved about his new day-to-day existence in San Diego.
Oh, he loved it.
He highlighted his neighbors, specifically mentioning a friend he called Dr. Sean. He said these are incredible people who never treat him weirdly, never pry into his Hollywood life, and never ask him what other celebrities are like behind closed doors.
Which is the ultimate, unattainable luxury for someone of his stature. Pure anonymity. Or at least being treated like a regular guy who just happens to take his trash out on Tuesdays and worries about his lawn. He successfully built a physical fortress of normalcy.
He did. But here is where the modern reality of fame crashes the neighborhood barbecue. Because while you can easily change your zip code and you can sell your Malibu mansion, it is practically impossible to change your status as a public figure in the algorithmic internet age.
Oh, this brings us to the double-edged sword of the modern retreat. Setting a physical and mental boundary does not stop the world from observing you.
Right. And later in this deep dive, we will talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming regarding his actual career. But first, what happened while he was actively building this sanctuary?
The internet didn't stop talking just because he stopped posting.
No, it never does.
In 2023, right in the middle of this quiet dad life in San Diego, his ex-girlfriend, the surfer Sarah Brady, accused him of emotional abuse.
Right, this was a massive story.
It was everywhere. She went on Instagram and shared a series of alleged text messages from their relationship, which had ended back in 2022. The texts allegedly showed controlling behavior regarding what she could wear, who she could surf with, and who she could post pictures with.
And keeping with our commitment to entirely impartial reporting here, we are just looking at the facts of the timeline. And it is vital to note the factual outcome. Jonah Hill has never publicly responded to these allegations.
Not a word.
Not a PR statement, not a denial, absolutely nothing.
Which is a profound and deafening silence, especially in an era where celebrity crisis PR teams usually have a meticulously crafted focus group statement released within the hour to control the trending topics.
Yeah, that is the standard playbook.
And we have to view this through the lens of his broader history. Before his marriage to Olivia Millar, his relationships were heavily chronicled and dissected by the tabloids. He had an engagement to Gianna Santos that ended in 2020, and several other highly publicized relationships.
So he was used to the scrutiny.
He has a long, exhausting history of his private life being aggressively consumed by public media.
I think about it through this analogy. Modern fame is like having a permanent digital ghost.
Ooh, I like that.
In the past, if you moved to a small town, your past stayed behind in the city. But today, you can physically retreat to a quiet cul-de-sac. You can have totally normal, grounding conversations with your neighbor, Dr. Sean. But your digital ghost, your past, your public persona, the remnants of your previous relationships, they will continue to generate headlines, spark fierce debates, and trend on social media completely without your physical participation.
Your ghost is doing interviews while you are watering the lawn.
Exactly. It is out of your hands entirely.
This raises a critical question about the modern celebrity dilemma. His absolute silence regarding the 2023 allegations perfectly aligns with the strict boundary he set in his 2022 open letter.
That is a great point. He said he was done.
He stated he was stepping back from public-facing media to protect his mental health.
Mm.
But maintaining that strict boundary requires a massive, painful sacrifice. You are actively allowing the public narrative about your character to be written, debated, and finalized by millions of strangers completely without your input.
That has to take an iron will. To sit in your house knowing the algorithm is pushing your name to millions of phones, knowing the whole world is debating your character, and choosing to just turn the screen off, walk outside, and play with your kids.
It is a total, terrifying relinquishing of control over your own image.
It is terrifying for anyone whose currency is public perception.
But what's fascinating is that successfully establishing this protective bubble, choosing his family's immediate reality and his mental health over managing his public relations, seems to be exactly the medicine that finally recharged his creative batteries.
Yes. This total detachment leads directly to his unexpected, joyful return to the industry.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because he didn't just fade to black forever. He didn't become a permanent recluse. He is officially stepping back into the ring, but he is doing it entirely on his own terms.
Completely on his own terms.
He's directing, starring in, and co-wrote a new dark comedy for Apple TV Plus called Outcome, working alongside Ezra Woods. And he's already prepping for an upcoming comedy called Cutoff.
He's busy again.
He is.
Yeah.
But during that Smartless taping, he said something incredibly revealing about this return. He admitted that for a while during his peak fame, he got all serious, and honestly, he wasn't happy.
Well, the relentless pursuit of prestige, constantly trying to prove you are more than just the funny kid, it can become a very heavy, joyless burden.
And he felt that weight.
Mm-hmm.
But then he noted that having his kids stoked him, that was his word, stoked. It shifted his entire baseline perspective.
How so? He realized that when you're bummed out, when you are battling severe anxiety, you don't want to be funny. You don't have the energy for it. But finding profound, quiet happiness in his family life reconnected him to the core reason he ever started doing this in the first place.
Oh, I see.
He said it connected him directly back to his 12-year-old self, who just wanted to be funny for fun.
That phrase, funny for fun, is so simple, but so profound when viewed against a 20-year career.
Isn't it?
He spent 2 decades being funny for box office returns, funny for critics, funny for late-night talk show hosts. He commodified his joy until it vanished.
It reminds me of a massive stadium touring pop star who gets completely burned out by pyrotechnics, the grueling travel schedules, and the relentless, soul-crushing machine of the music business.
Yeah, we've seen that happen.
So what do? They cancel the massive tour, they disappear for a few years, and then they suddenly show up at a tiny, sweaty dive bar playing an acoustic guitar. They strip away the industrial machine and return purely for the love of the craft itself. That's exactly what this feels like.
If we look at how he is structuring his life right now, he is successfully bifurcating his existence. He hasn't quit Hollywood. He's just quit the Hollywood lifestyle.
That is the perfect way to put it.
He told the Smartless crowd that he still travels up to LA for work. In fact, he described the film editing process as being like dessert every day. He clearly still deeply loves the tactile art of making movies.
But the crucial difference is he gets to leave. He eats his dessert in the editing bay, and then he gets in his car and drives south. He leaves the city limits, he leaves the ecosystem, and he goes back to Dr. Shang, his wife Olivia, his kids, and his anonymity.
A clean break at the end of the day.
He has proven to himself, and perhaps more importantly to the entire industry watching him, that you can participate at the highest levels of filmmaking without letting the lifestyle entirely consume your identity.
He essentially called Hollywood's grand bluff.
Oh, I love that.
The industry fundamentally relies on the threat that if you don't play the game, if you don't do the exhausting press tours, walk the red carpets, and engage in endless self-promotion, you will lose your career.
That is the fear they drill into everyone.
Exactly. Jonah Hill stopped playing the game, took a 3-year hiatus, absorbed a $1 million real estate hit, weathered highly publicized allegations in total silence, and is now returning to direct and star in major streaming projects. He proved the unwritten rule was a lie.
Wow.
The machine needs the talent more than the talent needs the machine.
So what does this all mean? Let's take a step back and look at the incredible journey we've mapped out today. We are looking at a man who endured 2 decades of silent, debilitating anxiety attacks while making the entire world laugh.
2 decades. It's just staggering.
A man who reached a breaking point, penned a letter demanding the right to protect his own mind, and executed a highly expensive $1 million real estate exit from the only city he ever called home.
An expensive but necessary tax.
He weathered the algorithmic storms of his past while purposefully building a physical fortress of normalcy in a small San Diego town with his wife and 2 kids. And ultimately, he used that hard-won peace to rediscover his 12-year-old self's pure, unadulterated love for comedy.
It is a profound shift. He moved from merely surviving a lucrative career to actively designing a sustainable life.
And that makes me want to ask you, the listener, a question. Think about your own life, your own career, and the daily pressures you face. Where is your San Diego?
Good question.
What are the boundaries, whether they are physical, digital, or emotional, that you need to aggressively draw in your own life to protect your peace? What obligations do you need to walk away from to rediscover the pure joy in the work you actually do?
And to leave you with a final thought to mull over as we wrap up our analysis today, Jonah Hill just proved that a global A-list star can successfully decouple the art of making movies from the grueling, toxic machine of promoting them.
He really did.
If studios begin to realize that a film can succeed without forcing its star to sacrifice their mental health on a press junket, will this inspire a broader rebellion among other actors? Could Jonah Hill's sudden disappearance be the exact catalyst that finally brings the era of the mandatory, mental health-draining Hollywood press tour to an end?
Now that is something to think about.
It really is. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because we've got plenty more industry shakeups to cover.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.